Souls, and welcome back to another writing stream. Well, it's been a bit of tired work today. What I mean by that is I've been tired all day. Ever since getting up at like 10, because my alarm clock didn't go off. And what I mean by I got up at 10 because my alarm clock didn't go off was I have an alarm usually set for about 9. Also, Rex, hello. Also, hello Aiden and hello Robert. Oh, woo. I mean, that's fine, Aiden. I'm still kind of setting up. Right now, I'm kind of waiting for my computer to stop being a bitch. Okay. It's just a matter of figuring out why Windows didn't start Discord. Let's see if Dick Sword will load. Okay, doke. Oh. Yeah. So, woo. There we go. Alright. Vibrations in the air. Yeah. Yeah, it's a Yanni day. Oh, Jesus. So, oh my god. Why for am I yawning so damn much? The start of the story is always the hardest, but this one's more of a I know where I'm jumping off from, sort of. Is that what does it? What the balls? Hold on. I need to do a thing. Snoggles for the burb. Yeah, no, I've been getting Timu ads, by the way, where it was just literally them asking, hey, you know that gamer chair that was really, really popular like 6 years ago? We have them in stock and we have upgrades. You can buy one for $20. When the original chairs that everybody was freaking out about on YouTube were like $600 a chair. Sorry, ladies, I don't think that's gonna fly. Oh, God. Well, I mean, I apologize for the ads, but at the same time, I don't apologize for the ads. They're how I survive. So, that's the thing. I'm going to save this draft. Give me a second. Because I need a name. And it's been a little while. Arenia. Hmm. Aiden, you almost lost your glasses? I mean, there's usually time for making coffee, but that's another one of those things. Why is it demanding this be italicized? What the fuck? And Johnson. Well, and how does it feel being a geriatric citizen? Oh my god. Oh, woo. Hmm. Here's a conundrum. How to describe and depict slavery? Okay, can you stop spazzing the fuck out? Oh my god. I fucking hate you. I hate everything you stand for, Xbox. No, I don't actually hate the Xbox. I hate the fucking browser system they have for it. Cool, that is not the one I fucking wanted. Oh my god. Kajari. Hmm. I will be right back. When I get back, I will do a recap of how we or what we got so far. But I need to use the restroom. Ah! A memento. Fuck. Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa. I forgot to mute the microphone. But oh well. Oh. Alright, let's do cozy mode. I just found something that I need to change ever so slightly. Awakening to the sensation of pure energy, the subtle but constant thrum of something vibrating through the air, wasn't easy for the first few days. So many things were foreign to me in this place, but by far the most unsettling would have to be. Hey, Kareth! Her voice chimed loud enough to be startling, but not quite loud enough to be harsh. It's time to wake up. Arenia was always so cheerful in the mornings, and yet her presence was far more unsettling than I'd have ever let her know, or let her believe. I was so used to the isolation that slavery had afforded me. The knowledge that I'd be awakened by the sound of our master fumbling with his keys long before he reached the cell he kept us in. I knew she was trying to be kind, but how could I tell her? But each morning with the rising of the suns, her voice would be the first to greet me, and while it may have been jarring at first, it was one of the few things I would truly miss about this era of my life. The morning was all I could manage in the haze of half consciousness, and yet it was all the response she'd ever seemed to need. Normally she'd have left my chambers before I could drag myself from my bed. But today it seemed would be different. Kareth, I heard her voice. She hadn't just poked her head in through the doorway to wake me. Began to wonder why today had been different. The question she'd left hanging in the air would soon explain. Markings on your back. What are they? I'd meant to be gentle, but there was a bite in my tone. They're scars. What from? These would be the first of many, many questions she would ask in my time here. But never once did that cheerful sound leave her voice. You know what I am, yeah? No matter how distant or cruel I could be with my own. Though when I looked to her, I could see the confusion in her eyes. I hadn't thought of it before now, but she'd been truly blind to the suffering of the world beyond her people. Perhaps the same could be said of so many in our world, but until now I'd never given it much thought myself. I was born a slave. A what? She asked, that hint of confusion creeping further and further into her tone. What's up? It means he was owned by someone. Never thought I'd be grateful to hear the voice of a lizard, but apparently Kajari had heard the conversation from the hall. Most of his species are bought and sold like cattle in the Empire. He spoke so casually of it, as if what his kind had done to my people for generations wasn't an act of barbarism. That Arenia began. Her voice was calm at first, but not for more than a word before it gave way to anger. That's horrible. Is that her? Hmm. Oh, woo. By the way, if you're reading as I'm typing, keep this in mind. The main character in this Kareth was a slave from birth, meaning the minute he was born, he was affixed with a collar. In this era in the world's history, the entirety of the Empire believed that for bringing civilization to their lands, the Kirsai owed the Empire a debt that they could pretty much never repay. So it was considered to be justified whenever Kirsai were rounded up and when entire generations or entire families of their species were forced into slavery that they could never be free from by nothing more than like the only reason they were there was because the Imperials decided to build on their lands, effectively steal from them, and force them into either a life of slavery or a nomadic life in a, well, in at the time, one of the most dangerous parts of the world. There's a reason Kirasai are usually very, very mean, very, very angry creatures or characters in this world. I should also point out, this character is only a child. Like, he's only like 11 or so. And he, within a month from this encounter, had just watched his sister torn away from his mother's arms, his mother and father both murdered by their owner, who was intending to kill him as well. The only problem was he killed his owner. The only reason he's not dead now is because effectively a god intervened and said, "No, you're coming with me." So right now, this guy is a kid who's never had to fully deal with the anger of effectively being owned his entire life, never having any freedom to vocalize anything about how fucked that is, now knows he's no longer a slave and knows that he's no longer, bound by the rules that his masters set. As far as he's concerned, he's free. So now here is a Draconis, i.e., a lizard, who is so casually explaining the way that uh, the Imperial world works, because he grew up in it, not as a slave, but as a, citizen. So he's very calmly explaining the fact that, oh, yeah, no, in the Empire, his kind are mostly owned by people. They buy and trade them, or buy and sell them like cattle. Meanwhile, he's sitting there, effectively one of the things that was bought and sold like cattle, being talked about like he's not there. Think you'd be pissed too. Yeah, he's a kid. Like, he's not 18. In fact, I believe at the end of this book, he'll be in his early 20s. He dies by the age of 22. Like, understand, he was saved from the life of slavery he'd known for his entire childhood up until a certain point, like 10 or 11 years old. By the age of, 11 or so, he had witnessed the slaughter of his entire family, effectively, and had been saved by a god. From the ages of, then until about 19 or so, he trains at the temple he was brought to. The elemental training him effectively hopes that it will make him a stronger person, make him capable of effectively freeing his people. Instead, he takes the power he's taught to use, twists it, makes it into a weapon, and nearly ends up destroying the world. No, the dragon, the Draconis dude, is the one that he's about to try to punch, but instead he's going to wind up punching a wall. I mean, not bad, dude. I will. And yeah, Zephyr, that is dark. A lot of people don't realize the stuff I write is actually dark fantasy. I don't set my stories in a world where everything is like hunky dory, everyone's gonna be fine. Nah, Ethorian's a twisted fucking place. Best example I can give is the Empire, since they are unbelievable. They have equal rights for pretty much every single solitary person, under one condition. Like, you can be deformed, you can be, well, deformed in their eyes would be like an atrocity, somebody who's a car. Um, you can be feral, i.e., having a more animalistic body. You can be, uh, you can literally look like whatever the hell you want. So long as you abide by their laws, you're treated the same no matter what. Their laws, however, are fucked. In the sense that they're a culture where, let's say, a father is raising his daughter after his wife dies in childbirth. The father eventually can't pay his bills, so he can sell his daughter into sex slavery to be able to pay his bills. The reason he could do that, or the reason that he would probably do that, is because, one, if he can't pay the bills and like finds no way to do that in beyond a certain point in time, he winds up becoming a slave. Problem with that is all of his descendants would become slaves too. So he's literally choosing, do I whore her out, or do I wind up getting us both put into slavery, and that winds up happening to her anyways. It's a society based on a lot of really fucked up concepts. One of which being every person that paying your taxes is not considered like a government function in the empire. It's considered to be paying your debts. So let's say you don't pay your taxes 1 year. You're gonna wind up a slave if you don't have the money to immediately pay those taxes and the heavy, hefty fines that they'll put on you for having missed a payment. Also, why are we sharing birthdays? Or ages, rather. That would be why. I just scrolled back and saw what was going on. Mm. Um, that might be why. Mm. Oh, look, bacon flavored pine martin. Nom nom, the pine martin hat. Oh, you're gonna be a bitch. So again, if you've been reading along with how dare you taste like bacon, how dare I not? Or why wouldn't I? How dare I not? So, to put into perspective the reason this, like, the way this ends, imagine being so pissed off that you slam your hand into solid stone, not concrete, stone, hard enough to dislocate every one of your fingers, break these four bones, and fracture these three bones right here. Being so pissed that when your hand hits and breaks on the stone, you don't feel it, and swing again with the same hand into the same stone. Dude was so pissed that he effectively shattered every bone in his hand. I'd say that kind of anger at that moment would be justified. Bear in mind, this is also in a world where there is a type of magic in use that can reset and repair the bones nearly instantly. Not painlessly, but nearly instantly. Mm-hmm. By the way, the reason why it reads the second time my fist impacted the stone, though it was over. Bear in mind, when someone gets such a bad injury, like say getting their hand crushed, if there is anything that overrides that pain impulse and then causes them to slam their hand back into the thing that is effectively crushing their hand, usually the amount of pain that you would be in would actually cause you to pass out. So this dude broke his hand and then punched with his broken hand again on the thing that broke his hand. There's only so much pain the human body, or in any case, any species' body will handle before their brain just goes, no, sorry, self-preservation's a thing, and just shuts down. But either way, nom nom the Pine Martin. Also, nom the Zephyr. So, from the other people's perspective, Arenia is standing in the doorway. Uh, Kajari is standing behind her. So what happens is he effectively hearing Kajari explaining slavery so casually, and the fact that he had been born a slave pissed him off to the point uh it won't kill the body. There is a point at which shock will kill you. It's not the brain killing the body. Uh what it is effectively is it puts pain actually puts so much stress on your heart. The reason your brain normally shuts down from pain is to keep the stress off the heart. So you stop feeling it, everything stops recording. It gives your body time to send out the electrical signals to, stabilize heart, stabilize lungs, stabilize everything before you return to consciousness. So what happens from their point of view is Kujari is explaining like imperial slavery to Arenia, and Kareth gets so pissed off that he jumps out of bed, effectively runs up and slams his fucking hand into the doorway that they are both kind of standing near. She's in the doorway, he's behind her. I remember that. Starts screaming about, like, what debt did I accrue for simply being born? But instead, because he is so pissed off, it comes out as uh what debt did I owe for being born? What debt? All the while he's slamming his fist into stone so much that you can audibly hear the bones snapping in his hand. Like, I don't know if you know this, there's a sound when your fingers dislocate. It's literally like a wet popping noise. When the bones in your fingers break, there's actually an audible snap. Realistically, if you ever want to hear like the sound that I hear in my head when I'm talking about this, uh take a like rotisserie chicken before it's cooked, slam it into a wall as hard as you can, and listen for the sounds of the bones popping. It's very much the same sound as when you butterfly a chicken, when you pull the bones away from the connecting joints on the or the connecting points on the spine. Just that literally just wet. Kind of gross. Having worked with food a lot though, that's one of those things I kind of wind up fucking. Those are sounds that I can't not hear anymore. Oh hey, just found an editing issue. If as a draft. Orc. So I'm going to go back over what I have for now, and this is probably going to be close to where this stream ends, because I don't know if I have very much more left in my brain right now, mostly because I haven't really eaten much today. I also have other shit I need to do, like in the backyard before the next stream, so that's a thing. So, awakening to a sense of to the sensation of pure energy, the subtle but constant thrum of something vibrating through the air, wasn't easy for the first few days. So many things were foreign to me in this place, but by far the most unsettling would have to be. Hey, Kareth! Her voice chimed, loud enough to be startling, but not quite loud enough to be harsh. Hold on. It's time to wake up. Arenia was always so cheerful in the mornings, and yet her presence was far more unsettling than I'd ever have let her believe. I was so used to the isolation that slavery had afforded me. The knowledge that I'd be awakened by the sound of our master fumbling with his keys long before he reached the cell he'd kept us in. I knew she was trying to be kind, so how could I tell her? But each morning, with the rise of the suns, her voice would be the first to greet me, and while it may have been jarring at first, it was one of the few things that I would truly miss about this era of my life. The morning was all I could manage in the haze of half consciousness, and yet it was all the response she'd ever seemed to need. Normally, she'd have left from my chambers before I could drag myself from my bed, but today it seemed to be different. Kareth, I heard her start. She hadn't just poked her head through the doorway to wake me. I began to wonder why today had been different, but the question she'd left hanging in the air would soon explain. Those markings on your back. What are they? I'd meant to be gentle, but there was a bite in my tone. They're scars. What from? These would be the first of many, many questions she would ask in my time here, but never once did that cheerful sound leave her voice. You know what I am, yeah? No matter how distant or cruel I could be with my own. Though when I looked to her, I could see the confusion in her eyes. I hadn't thought of it before now, but she had been truly blind to the suffering of the world beyond her people. Perhaps the same could be said of so many people in our world, but until now, I'd never given it much thought myself. I was born a slave. A what? She asked, a hint of confusion creeping further and further into her tone. What's It means he was owned by someone. Never thought I'd be grateful to hear the voice of a lizard. But apparently Kajari had heard the conversation from the hall. Most of his species are bought and sold like cattle in the Empire. He spoke so casually of it, as if what his kind had done to my people for generations wasn't an act of barbarism. That, Arenia began. Her voice was calm at first, but not for more than a word before it gave way to anger. That's horrible. Horrible or not, it's a way of life for all Imperials, Kajari said with a shrug. Those who can't pay their debt to the Empire end up as... I'd thought myself stronger, but the moment I sprang from my bed, clearing half the room in 2 steps, I realized just how weak I was. What debt? I demanded, and the anger in my tone sent both of them reeling a step. What debt did I owe for being born into this world? I demanded again. I hadn't known I was going to swing on somebody, and if Arenia hadn't been between us, then I'd have no doubt that I would have driven my fist into Kajari's face as he stammered and stumbled over his words. But she was there, so instead of that scaled bastard's face, my fist slammed into the stone archway that made up my stone arch that made up my doorway. I didn't so much as wince at the impact, nor the wet popping of each of my fingers dislocating, or the crackling of many of the bones in my paw snapping from force. All that I could feel was that desire I'd felt the day my master took my family from me. It was something akin to anger, like a flame welling up and burning away at me from the inside. But all either of them could see was the anger present on my face as I screamed, "What debt?" Second time my fist impacted the stone, it was over. Pain I should have felt, that should have brought me to my knees, finally caught up to me as I slumped to the floor. Ow. What do you guys think? Edgar Zephyr. Ow. So close, Heather. Put a U where the W was in that word. E. Aiden, you've read a lot of my work before. You know just how intense it gets. That is tame in comparison to the 7 Days in Hell story I read to you that one time. You remember me telling you about the story that made my fucking, like half my class throw up? Yeah, that one was fun. I've always been good at brutal scenes, I don't know why. Maybe because I'm good at scenes of brutality. Mostly because I've witnessed. Oh well. Anyways, folks, this is where we're going to leave off. So, if you enjoyed the gameplay or the commentary, give us a like. If you want to keep up with this or any of our other content, hit subscribe and ring the bell. Become part of our notification squad so you can see when we upload and when we go live. But for now, this is Kitthesoulless signing off. So until next time, everybody, bye! I don't know why I'm getting so close to the fucking camera right now. Dawn's on me, you guys can't see me, and my brain is still in mode. Ah! Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next stream. Om nom.